Triple.
Yeah, 102.7.
What up, party people? This is Top Billin, live in effect.
Triple R.
Another Friday night coming at ya.
Yeah,
Big show tonight. We've been hyping it up.
that's it.
What's happening, Roscoe?
Well, we got my man Rolls to my left,
Hell yeah.
and on your left, we've got the man behind, or one of the men behind the Almighty Lyrical Commission, the one and only Trem. What's happening, bro?
Yo,
What up, man?
yo. Roscoe, what up, man? Rolls.
Now,
Man.
Thanks for having me in.
Pleasure for you to be here.
you're still
It's a
alive,
pleasure
mate?
to be here,
And
man.
it's only
It's an
just
honor.
started.
You're still alive. I know there's a hell of a lot going on in your life right about now.
Yeah, man, it's been real hectic, but we're about to drop the gem on them, so that's what we're here for, you know.
That's it. So, yeah, as Rolls alluded to, this is a special edition of Top Billin. We're going to do a two-part interview. Figured, people only been waiting about 15 years for this album, so we might as well spend a bit more time than the usual to get through it all.
There might have been a few people that have, developed some sort of mental disorder and totally forgotten about you, man.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm here.
we got to keep them up
All
to date.
true and living right here in the flesh.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, if you have been living under a rock the last few months, Trem's new album, For the Term of His Natural Life,
Yep.
Yeah,
that is coming out next week on the 7th of October.
that's the one.
And so the plan is tonight, we're actually going to go back, focus on your earlier stuff, take it back to the early days.
Cool.
And, pre-LC, take it through the
Yeah.
Lyrical Commission, all that.
Yeah.
Just break it down. And then next week, we're going to have the second part of this interview focus pretty much just on the new record. And we'll play some
dope.
joints off that.
So I've got to sit here for 2 weeks and shit.
Yep, 2
That's
weeks,
it, man.
man.
Well, we better stock that fridge.
Now, one thing. Well, look, I got a lot of questions I've been wanting to ask you for a long time.
Yeah.
Given that you did spend part of your life living down in Geelong, my old town, but originally from Sydney, I think.
Yep, born in Sydney. Not
Born-
bred there.
And then-
Lived there for a bit, but yeah.
And then you made your way down to
Boondocks.
Sleepy Hollow. What's I was always wondering roughly around what sort of year did you make it down to Geelong?
I got down there around the age of 13, which would have been
Late 80s or something?
Mid 80s. Must have been around 85-ish era, 86 maybe. So I was born in Sydney, was there for the initial influx of hip-hop into this country. Got all my, early inspiration up there as a young buck when I first started, getting into the entire scene as a whole, from the floor moves to to tagging up the drains and the fences to the taste for those beats.
Yeah.
And then Mum basically packed me up and shifted us out of the big smoke of Sydney down to Sleepy Hollow, and massive transformation going from Sydney, where at that time, hip hop was flourishing as it was down in Melbourne. But
Down in G-Town in the 80s, even the 90s, man.
whoa, man, I swear, when I got there, it's funny because there wasn't the sight of a tag, so leaving a bigger city. And it was massive back then, everything was bombed. So you get to Geelong and there's not even one tag in the town, man. You're the first dude to actually put paint to a wall illegally in the town is kind of crazy.
Planted the seed, man.
Yeah, man, it's real weird because back then, now you think G-Town's an hour down the road, and people can live an hour out of the city and commuting's not that bad. But, when you take it back then, that shit seemed like it was, 2 hours out of the city.
So I'm guessing back then, we get round into the early 90s, would have been a lot of commuting up to Melbourne, hooking up with heads in the scene.
Yeah, from the late 80s actually, up probably around 88, I started coming up, and what was real funny is when I first landed one of the first times I came down here from Sydney, I was lucky enough to land at Spencer Street, walk up the block, and at the time they were building the Remand Centre, and that actual block at the time was commissioned as a legal graffiti, one of Melbourne's first big legal graffiti areas. And, there was all sorts of shit going on at the time. And, so I was like, whoa, man, I've come down here to see this. This is dope.
Wow,
but little did I know at the time, I was getting shifted another hour down the road to Sleepy Hollow. But by the end of the 80s, I'd started, definitely commuting up to the city, Central Station Records and all the spots we used to go buying up all the killer hip hop that was coming out at the time.
Who were some of the heads that you sort of first linked up on that made an impact on you?
That first made an impact, I'd say it was more or less the graffiti writers, and that was obviously through seeing their art. Didn't really get to build with too many of them because, back then everything was much more mysterious as well. So coming from Sleepy Hollow, no one really wanted to give you too much, you know what I mean? So we were kind of making our own mark down the road, and then by the time we got to the very late 80s, early 90s, we started to build with a couple of local heads up here. And then come sort of 90 odd, I guess you'd say, about 1990 is when I sort of first started to connect with dudes on a musical level up here as well. And that would be the likes of DJ Frenzy was very instrumental in getting us, putting me on in particular, on a musical level anyway, that's for sure. And that whole crew that he used to run with, and then, we sort of got down on a graph level and a music level, which after, a certain period of time, I started to drift further away from the paint cans and more onto the mic.
So you, I know a bit about your graph background, originally part of the RFK crew.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a bit about, the dudes you used to roll with back then?
Yeah, well, RFK actually is originally an English crew. And my boy Rays, who spent a few years over in England, was put down with the crew. And then, he was there for a couple of years, and he ended up coming back to Australia, and he moved to G-Town. So upon us sort of meeting in G-Town, he was, I was putting up down there with my boys, and he was kind of like this solo dude that was rocking these run for cover pieces, and we were like, who's that? And he was like, who's this? And we kind of bumped into one another this time in the city, and he was like, yeah, let's get down with some shit, we'll go hit up a few walls. And we started doing a bit of bombing and whatnot, and as it turned out, he was like, you're RFK now, let's go. And we recruited locally at first, and then, as I said, as it got to around 1990, when we connected with a few heads in Melbourne, we ended up linking up, and the crew expanded from there. So it basically went from London to G-Town in Australia, and then to Melbourne, and everyone dispersed across Australia in the end. So it turned into quite a big crew. But my input was in the initial stages, and we incorporated some absolute killers into our crew that were real all city motherfuckers that did a lot of damage, man, and did some monumental pieces. So big ups to all the RFK crew.
Yeah.
Word, that's good to hear, man. I like hearing that shit straight from the horse's mouth. So for you, you mentioned your involvement in the earlier stages of the crew. Was there a moment in the early 90s that for you, the music, you can remember where you thought the music was your direction? Was there something that happened that...
Yeah, I mean, I'd suggest that sort of by the late 80s, I was kind of just messing around with, trying to find, I was messing with all facets of hip hop at that time, bar probably the breaking, which wasn't really my cup of tea, and then I bought decks. I started out DJing, and then I actually started messing around with writing some shit, full Cat in the Hat style, just listening to Big Daddy Kane and making a simplified version, basically.
Did you start off with the American accent?
I sort of did, but I never really fronted on an American accent. And I sort of was.
Most people did back then.
Yeah, but honestly, I was lucky enough that sort of by the time I started writing around 89, the AKA brothers, I was fortunate enough to have heard them and even seen them live. So you got to understand that by the late 80s, people in Australia were actually rhyming in their own accents. So as soon as I heard AKA brothers joint, man, that was game over for me. There wasn't a tinge of Yank in my accent, and never was since. You know what I mean? So,
what?
But getting back to your initial question, like I said, I was messing with all facets of the culture, and really started getting into my DJing early on. Started tinkering with the rhymes, and just it was mess around shit. Never really once thought that it would ever progress to anything more than a mess around, And Ray's actually at the time was like, man, we need to start recording this, He was like, man, you're killing it, The first rhyme I spat to him was about the third time I met him, and we were on a train trip to Melbourne to go, take some photos along the lines and hit up Central Station Records and buy some shit. And I brought the paper, man, and I pulled out the foolscap piece of paper and I just busted this verse to him, man. And he was like, "You didn't write that shit." And I was like, "No, I did, man. I did write it." He was like, "Bullshit, man." I was like, "I got a stack of this." So he like came over and he was like, "Fuck, man, you actually writing some shit." So
You'll probably hear the album and still say the same shit.
Yeah.
You didn't write that shit, man.
Yeah. So that's where it kind of really started to, you know, I thought, wow, you know, yeah, I see that there was other dudes in Australia starting to make some noise, like AKA, like, you know, Code of Ethics, Mad Hat, Positive Direction, you know, all those dudes at the time, NME, No More Excuses, As One. And basically, you know, from there on, it was like, cool, I'll try to get a piece of this. And it wasn't anything serious at first. We did a few tapes, and then when Frenzy actually came down to G-Town and somehow I think Ray's or even the chick in the radio station down there played him a song I did. You know, some full pause tape. We were pause tape loops back then, you know, so we would just find something, two boom boxes, even speaker to speaker shit. And I did this like little 3-verser and they played it on this little radio station. Can't even remember what it was called. But yeah, he heard it and he was like, man, he'd seen my pieces in Hype Mag and then he heard the track. So he's like, man, we got to catch up with this dude, you know? And from then on, meeting him and chilling with dudes like Item and, you know, that whole crew that I started to get to know, it was sort of, I could really find myself gravitating towards it more and less towards the paint side of things, you know? My crew would sort of, you know, they were running shit and they were painting every day and they were whipping up sketches that I could only dream of doing, you know. So I felt more of a gravitation towards the mic by that stage. So
What about your first live shows? You got any memories of rocking the mic for the first time?
Definitely, man, definitely. I actually remember super clearly the first time, and it was at the Entertainment Centre, and we came up.
Was that the Glass House?
Yeah. Back in
House,
yeah. And this must have been about 1990, I think, or 89, 90. It could have even been 89. And it had been advertised on Triple R and possibly a rival station at the time by Ransom that they were holding this open mic session. And basically, you know, there was a few heads going to be rapping there at the time. And at that time, my rhyming partner was a dude from G-Town whose old man was actually one of the Harlem Globetrotters at the time, which is another story altogether. And he was like this 7 foot, you know, black dude. And so we was like this weird combination, man, you know, like he had the full New York accent and I had the full Australian accent, which I really, you know, I was well and truly rocking by that stage.
Yeah.
So we came up to, you know, we all piled onto trains and shit. There was like probably 25 of us, 30 of us deep, and actually there's a song on the new album which tells the story. But without going into it too deep, we came up and mega nervous at the time, but got up there with my boy Jay and his DJ, and yeah, we had a good time. It was cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
And what's real funny is that I always remember speaking to Ransom many years later, and he was like, I always remember that first time you got up on stage, man. And he goes, and we saw you, this like, you know, kid with like ponytail dreadlocks and, you know, from G-Town, yeah, whatever, and this 7 foot black dude was like, yeah, we're looking at this dude, you know, and we get up there and he goes, and you stole the show. So I was like, oh, word.
Yeah. Well, that's a crazy story, man. Talk about the early 90s. We're going to get into a track of your first 12-inch, take it back to 1992.
Here we go. Top Billin.
More with Trem shortly. Stay tuned, Triple R.
Yet I don't intend to sit and spend long hours on end telling tall stories and shit of how my talents have no end. I'm urging you to catch at least a glimpse of any track I've made. I bet that every rhyme of mine's worthy of an accolade. The bit of a rest beast buried aboard my head's fleet of thoughts set sail, soaring forth as each word leaks out. Little by little, brittle beings become bashed to bits, brought up on my head's brutal bludgeoning bag of tricks, and sticks and stones won't fix my bones, let alone cruel names. So save all that chatter for your playground games. seesaw, swing and slide, riding kitty crap. Or napping, all I'm rapping is about around that skull cap. Till it snaps and sap seeps out the gaping gap and grim sightly gristle like or gushes out, proving that my rampant running regimen of raps will rip no doubt. And mics I may merely mash, but heads I hit and put them out. See, this shit's as simple as X, Y, Z. Floods of red muddy your head like a sanitary bin of bloody meds. I'm bringing the blend to a standstill state as I storm, showing leaf and proof that dopeness comes in a human form. And from within a single cell of my brain spans poetical pieces possessing sorcery perfectly planned. My pen and pad pull no punches this time around, spearheading attacks. I'm smoking tracks and blazing grounds of no return, but now they're burning. I'm coming back, leaving nothing but bodies in the dust, crushed and squashed flat as tacks and axe murdered and mangled men leave my lair in zipped up bags with their mouths gagged, looking worse for wear. No words of prayer can protect you from the surge of rare literal skills I instill and spill on kicks and snares. My verse rips and tears through loops and bass lines like razor laced hula hoops through waistlines.
Motherfuckers only rap. Motherfuckers only rap. Motherfuckers only rap.
Sunny summer Saturday at Parambo, just kicking with a six or a liquor. Few pals perving on moles. My man's introduced me to this golden brown tan blonde haired stunning honey who left my dick hard and hard runny. Softly spoken, soaking wet with good looks, armed with charm, a grammar, pleasant manners, a good cook who was timid and quiet, yet a right in the bed as well as telling me she loved me. There was mentions of wedding bells and bows. I forked out cash for expensive motels and clothes, even turning down a string of jealous hoes just to be with this one chick. My friend used to dump shit on me, said I'm a dumb freak having one dip, but I couldn't care less. Possessed by the fluorescent smile a doll gave, a slave for her I was obsessed and craved, till one day a whole attitude switched. She thought that Melrose was real and her I was the rude bitch, too good for the likes of me. Said she wasn't right for me and had the nerve to scout her. Now she cut me off spitefully, rightfully so. It hit hard at first, the start was by far the worst bit, and shit I even thought my heart had burst, but I can see clearly now the pain is gone. And
now she's the one who's the lonely one. I used to be in love with this bitch. How post attitudes, real rude with fat ass. I used to be in love. I used to be in love with this bitch. I used to be in love with this bitch. How post attitudes, real rude with fat ass. I used to be in love with this bitch.
and now she's rocking her kitty, all city, and it's a pity, cause once this pretty stun had a cute one, now it's worn and shitty. Often out her butt sag, she hangs with ravers and fags and gets more dirty on the low down the boss skag. Silk degrees, her knees are scarred, she's been barred more than a thug from city pubs by security guards. Sards wonder soap, couldn't scrub the slurry cleaner, half the germs she's got in a grubby fiend for ease and coke. Speed, smoke, booze and pills give so many cheap thrills, they call her Blueberry Hills, and it makes me feel ill to think this chickie, who was once mine, isn't too picky about which sticky her lippy runs rings around. And now and then she call me up with well wishes, blowing me kisses and reminiscing about when she was my missus. But this is the past tense, she burned me like incense and wrenched apart my heart, so I told the wench to whack off and back off. I'd rather jack off than be caught alongside her in the bed with my dacks off. Rightfully so, it hit hard at first, the start was by far the worst bit, and shit I even thought my heart had burst, but I can see clearly now the pain is gone. And
now she's the one who's the lonely one. I used to be in love with this bitch. 3 triple.
Yeah, what up, Top Billin? 3 Triple R, 102.7 FM on the dial. We got Roscoe, we got Rolls,
Yeah.
and we also got Trem in the house,
Yeah,
Taking it back
Filling us-
there, Tremor.
filling us in on some
that's
history.
that's some old stuff right there.
If you
It
are-
seems like 10 worlds away. That stuff now.
Yeah.
If you just tuned in, we got Trem in here. Got the release of the new album coming out finally
For
next
the
week.
term of his natural life.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 2-part interview series this week. We'll chuck this one up on the web, and then you can tune in next week to hear the new album and everything about the new album.
Yeah.
Now, at the top of that, those 2 songs. The first one, that was 1992, off the Sheer Talent 12-inch, dropped in 98.
Written in 92.
Bam.
That's-
Written in 92, that track. Dropped in 97, 98, yeah.
That's wild.
That's why it's called 92.
That's crazy, man. I checked the production credits earlier. I see your man Item gets a credit in there.
Yeah, it's real crazy.
What kind of what would you say he sort of brought to the scene back in the days, and also with your career?
Well, firstly, my first recollection of Johnny Item is that dude was the nicest on the decks back then. Like, he was super understated DJ, above and beyond his beat collecting. Like, he was pulling off like these primo cuts before primo. I'm not kidding, man. He was mad. And then obviously he got more renowned for his digging and his collecting, because he just had a knack for it, man. Like, when he was on the decks, he was one of the first dudes as well that I met that had labels covered over. He was super protective of,
Shit.
of the ill shit that he was finding and that, and he had drums and basses and loops, and he's a dude that I met through DJ Frenzy, and yeah, he was one dude that was super nice with the cuts. As far as linking with Item, and what he did sort of for me and my history is we were cool. He was rocking with another crew at the time called Positive Direction, which was Shawnee B, who's now up in Brizzy. And
Is he originally Melbourne head?
yeah, he's a Param Flats kid, man.
There you go, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. And his name used to be Beaker back in the days. And another dude by the name of Mad Hat, who's also gone through about 20 different guises of names, and I think he calls himself Ron B. Me or something now. He kind of disappeared off the planet, resurrected himself as Fasan. He was down with some other dudes sort of in the mid-90s, and then he's certainly resurfacing again now. I think he's doing some shit with Johnny Item, is what I heard of late. But anyway, back to it. I'll get lost in that shit. Johnny Item was working with those dudes. Positive Direction was the crew, and they sort of folded at around 91. I'm assuming it would have been 90, 91, and Item started sort of just making mad beats, and I just hooked up with him. Frenzy had sort of spawned off doing some other stuff with some other dudes, which was cool, and I sort of found myself working with Johnny Item and spending many days out in Gladstone Park, just with the W30, looping up mad shit, and we started to make a tape together back then, 92 era, and that was one of the tracks that came from that era. That 92 track was one of the songs. We did another song called Arrest My Brain, which was ill, had Rays on it, never surfaced.
So it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, man, I don't even have a tape of that. I bet you Johnny Item's got it somewhere, man. That shit was dope. But yeah, we planned this mad tape, and we got a couple of tracks in, and pretty much, I kind of go off on different tangents, man, and
I can only imagine the early 90s how hard it would have been for hip hop dudes in Melbourne with bugger all equipment, stack of records, and just
we were 4-tracking it out there with the W30 sampler and some decks and a Gemini mixer. It was all Johnny needed, to make the ill shit. But there's probably one thing about me is I've always been super finicky with my rhymes, and I can't keep up with dudes when it comes to their level of I got a mad work ethic, but I don't know, I'm super finicky, number one, and number two, I'd never found it easy to write rhymes either. I've never been a freestyler. I don't like to put down some shit that's like bang bang bang, there it is. If I ain't feeling it 2 bars in, then fuck, I'm going back to the start. So I probably couldn't keep up with some of the producers I've worked with over the time.
Now the second track we had there, that was I Can See Clearly.
Yeah.
Off the next 12 inch that came out.
Yeah.
That was on the Amateurs 12.
Yeah.
Now actually got a question for you from our man Morns.
Yeah.
And he wanted us to ask you if that track was written about anyone specifically.
Definitely.
And also to what extent the whole tale is true.
Yeah. The extent of the tale.
We don't need names, but
Yeah, well, you know the deal.
But we do.
She may be listening. Nah, that was a long time ago, man. That shit was from that was from your first love, I guess. And every man's got one of those tales. So that was just my little version of it, and it was kind of cool because I think at the time not many people were doing. A lot of dudes were doing the second verse style of the track where, fuck you bitch shit and whatnot, but no one was actually sort of delving deep about how they felt about the chick before she became a hoe, you know what I mean? So I felt like I was sort of, maybe, not setting new standards with that track by any means, but maybe just giving an extra tangent
Twist, man.
That most bitch
concept.
tracks don't have. Since then, it's been run with a million times, you know what I mean? But back then, it wasn't being done a lot, so it was kind of cool. But yeah, word up, Morns. I know you got one of those types of ladies from your past, so
Too many.
So you had the 212s back in 98, 99.
Yeah.
And for people like myself who used to tune in on the radio on a Saturday night, we remember a few times you shouting out the name of an album title without further ado.
Yes.
And so at the time, it sort of seemed like, man, we got these 2 killer 12 inches from Trem.
Yep.
Next up was going to be the album.
Yeah, that was the plan.
What happened?
Well, we better make this a 3-part series.
Shit.
In 50 words or less.
Yeah. Oh, no hope. No, basically, to run it down, originally I was always going to do a tape. Initially, the tape with Johnny Item. Scrapped that idea a couple of tracks in. It's just stuck to writing in between. Fuck the idea of doing an album as such. It seemed like a lot of hard work, especially back then as a 17-year-old. You're out partying all the time and getting up to mischief and meeting whack bitches, and then anyway, worst comes to worst, you live that lifestyle for a while and keep rapping throughout all of it, and then come mid-90s, radio shows like this, going in, busting freestyles, rapping with the posse, and Prowls was just like, man, what the hell are you doing, and this is sort of mid-90s, this is 94, 95 now. He's like, you got to get in the studio, man. Come down to my place. We'll get you on the mic. We'll work on some beats. I'd always been digging from Johnny Item and friends he put me on back in the day. So I was amassing crates of shit that I like, bass lines, drums, whatever. So he's like, bring them down. We'll put some shit together. I was tinkering with my own little W30 at the time. So yeah, went down to his place. We put together some tracks. Started making the album without further ado.
Yeah.
Which happened to be the 6-7 tracks that you find on those 212s was a good bulk of it. And it was going to be a tape initially, and then I was like, man, fuck a tape, you know what I mean? Like, I always wanted to put out vinyl, so let's dig in, pull out the first couple of tracks that we've done, finalise them and put them out on wax, which was the Sheer Talent release. And then so to go back to that, Amateurs and Sheer Talent were recorded at the same time, even though they were put out a year apart. They were actually recorded for the album. So we dropped the 12, went back in the lab, started tweaking a few more tracks, and a year had passed, still hadn't finished the album. So I was like, let's put out another 12. We'll put 2-3 tracks on there, blah blah blah. Out came Amateurs, man. So that was out. That was all cool. Then I started. By then, 2 years had lapsed, and I was questioning some of the earlier tracks, and long story short, got pushed back. There's extra songs in the mix there that make that up that album, but as it turned out, that album sort of never eventuated. LC formed, and I went headfirst into that direction.
So just to take a step back for a second, you mentioned your man Prowls. How did you first make the connection with Prowler?
I first met Prowls. I was pretty familiar with Prowls' artwork and in particular the RDC crew from when we first came up here. I used to see his stuff and What and Core and all that sort of, all those pieces on the line. So I was familiar with him and his graph crew. I also became very familiar super quick with PMP, which is Pure Minded Poetry, which is his first think it was his first. Yeah, that was his first rhyming crew as well with Slick T. And we happened to have a chance meeting at a gig I was playing at Monash University in about 91 maybe. And yeah, I was out there with Rays and DJ Frenzy at the time, and it might have been even 1990, 91. And anyway, we just connected and had a good chat the whole way back from Monash to the city, and then we bumped into each other at a gig at Richmond one time, and him and MCQ, obviously got a lot of love for MCQ. And yeah, we just sort of built from there and became really good friends, actually, like, you know, not only in music and graffiti, but outside of it. And yeah, Prowler's is definitely one of my boys, man.
Now, Prowler obviously got a lot of accomplishments under his belt from back in those days. For you though, like his work that he did in the early 90s, the mid 90s, like some of the tapes he put out, what kind of effect do you think that they had on the scene as a whole? Oh, well, or dudes like yourself?
Yeah, you know? I would say that Prowler's tapes were super instrumental in giving personally me, someone with minimal connections, a mad do-for-self mind state where it doesn't matter what you got, but you can actually make something work out of it. You know what I mean? Like, they were putting out some low-budget tapes at the time that were mad, crazy skilled. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when they were on the first tapes that they were doing, man, when they were playing the samples on the sampler, you got to understand, when the way we did shit back then, it's not like it was now. So they were like, you know, you had in the sampler on the keys at the time, whether it was a W30, you would have your drums, your bass line, your strings on a different key, all set to time. And you would be playing it to suit, you know what I mean? So we start with the bass line, then bring in the kicks. You know what I mean? And then, oh, well, come over and press the fucking strings, man. You know what I mean? You know, so it was crazy, man. So they full set, you know, and when you listen to it, you can hear it now. When you go back and listen to those tapes, when shit's slightly off, it's because it's done, man, like it's done live, you know what I mean? And that shit's crazy. And Prowler's really got in on set that do-for-self mentality and going in and also putting your money where your mouth is. You know, if you believe in your product, which I still stand by to this day massively, is like, don't be afraid to go in, put your money in, and if you believe in it, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
now we are gonna play the classic Prowler and Trem joint off the Lone Wolf album in just a second. But I just wanted to ask you about Prowler. You know, he pops up from time to time on beats and verses here, but ever since last 6 or 7 years, he's really been on the down low.
He's always been on the down low, man.
Yeah, but it hasn't been, you know, like
one,
it's nearly 10 years. Well, it probably is 10 years now since Lone Wolf came out. Just is that sort of a decision from him, do you think, to take a step back? Like,
man, I can't speak for Prowse and his methodologies and his way of thinking, but
do you think we'll see much more from him? Like,
well, you know, I heard a whisper that he's got more than enough to already in the box to accommodate an entire album. So whether or not it ever leaks, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Guys, man, I'm not trying to pry any information out of it.
First.
You know, there's a lot of fans out there who, from back in the days of Prowler and all the stuff you've done. So, look, let's get into that track I mentioned a moment ago. This is, do you want to tell us about this track?
Yeah. Renown was really cool. It was... this is off the Lone Wolf album, and it's something that Prowse was like, you know, we're doing this album. There's actually a longer story to this. I'll give you the short one. But this beat, I always said, when I first heard this instrumental, I was like, either give me that or put me on it. One or the other. And I was blessed enough for him and Jace to end up saying, yeah, you wanted to get on it. Here it is.
Classic.
She's
taking
dope.
it back to 2001. Yeah. You're on Triple R. Stay tuned. Roscoe and Rawls. We've got more with Trem coming up shortly.
What up, Prowse?
Let's do it. If you speak that shit, dead it ahead of time. We set to shine, test the best of minds. Who's next to try? Heads will fly, the blood of 1,000 men. Scalping and Prowse and Tremory now with pens. Talk that shit, dead it ahead of time. We set to shine, test the best of minds. Who's next to try? Heads will fly, the blood of 1,000 men. Scalping and Prowse and Tremory now with pens. This lifestyle's got me caught, raw like a holy war. I could care less about Impress or Polydor.
My brain's body's force decapitates fakes with the mic device slash tomahawk. Poisonous, I spit venom. Uppercut your car, deck your set, save your blind threats. I switch this, then shock. You swatched up, we swatch with shots of hip hop. Timeless, reflects our skills on breaks. Shrink rap to seal your fate. Forget your rep, let's bet in the real estates. Leaving bleeding, breathing through a broken lung. Prows and trems, you best not be approaching us.
Played out rap styles as fragile as glass panes. So pass the reins and haul it or get that ass cane. You wanna bask in fame and glory. Same old story, already your portrait's painted for me. A phony show pony, only in it for the limelight. Can't even rhyme right, and in hindsight, you try and bite the usual fanfare of catchphrases. I put a match to the dilapidated state of rap pages. You pack and wage your tax like when we hit the freights. Bombard the yards, business farts armed with pip flasks and paints. I'll rip half these flakes, which is the first bar. And by the seconds and the rest, head first down the gurgler. If you speak that shit dead ahead of time, we set to shine, test the best of minds. Who's next to try? Heads will fly, the blood of 1,000 men. Scalping and prows and tremoring out with pens. Talk that shit dead ahead of time. We set to shine, test the best of minds. Who's next to try? Heads will fly, the blood of 1,000 men. Scalping and prows and tremoring out with pens. Now run for the hills like I am made, and this burrow's blazing. I got priors for setting fire to entire staging. Mold raps to poleaxe, these old hacks. As ash smoulders on mics, decks and foldbacks. The cold facts of the Trem stand streets ahead. Without the glossy page of magazine feature spreads. Just keep my credit street level while your mass appeal rappers hatching deals and lacking skills are just acting real shit. I pack and seal raps and wield them like hatchets. Detaching heads from necks and flesh from bone fragments. We're hurting raps through work of murderous texts and burning sets like furnaces. Man, you're flirting with death. We strike teams who might fiend for photographers. Bless mics without the limelight, then flee the scene anonymously. These honorary guests vow right now to thrill crowds with ill sounds. And if you still clown, your time will soon be up. Bruise or noose you up, there's few to trust. The usual suspects that leave these arts best, scarred like flesh from car wrecks. So come get your brains chest bomb harder. You speak shaky like the hands of my grandfather. Tomorrow holds mad sorrow, so I flow slow. So kids half my speak and follow.
I Trem. I gotta be uncut. Definitely true to this. Definitely true to this. I Trem. I gotta be uncut. Definitely true to this.
You want to be a goodie or a baddie? You want to run with us or against? You know, what do you want? You want to be a shithead all your life? Or play A grade?
You think buzzers played out? You don't know shit about rap. This is a record for brads. The demo dirty with slabs. We're never paying the tab to the bar or the bookie, but paying that in crabs till they scuttle off Suki. From what I understand, your whole crew are staunch fans. Send them out while the van, just like a car out of stand. On stage I'm grabbing my glands. As I travel this land, I drop a scientific diamond cause I got plans. Your career's on the rails, I'll leave you wanting to bail. When you keep getting hammered with no sign of a nail. Sounds like you bought your beats at a garage sale, while I land at the bar with my coops finished ale.
I'm sick of suckers every Saturday night, and every jam spit the bullshit rap and they write. When you whack on the mic, reciting lyrical fellatio. Say you go freestyle, I read-dial my radio. You talk about nothing, but still come from memory. Pretend to be fresh as me, you'll never be mentally, cause your verse was whack. But what's worse than that? You think you grouse, but you suck the gym browse and slurp the sack. It seems that they don't know what they're doing, so watch as I ruin with fluent raps, kick congruent, crisp, slick, mystic, flowing like wrist slit and taking me out, it's no picnic.
They'll see.
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition.
The lyrical commission.
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition.
The lyrical commission.
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition.
The lyrical commission.
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition.
I pack grammar that cracks granite like jackhammers, ripping through crews like crepe paper match banners. My team's an all-star outfit from South Vic, about sick to death. The counterfeits that don't amount to shit. The tide's changing, it's LC's time for taking rap to new grounds. No other MCs are try breaking. Can find a fake in these imitators like innovation. Skip the brazen attempts, cause Trem's incinerating. A compost of long lost shoulda beens. Split at the seams from these 4B2 wooden beams. You couldn't dream of the carnage caused. My army's forging its rep with more muscle than Arnie Schwartz.
Twisted metal like tram tracks on turns. I react stern and settled. It's Mad Max in the burbs, and the pedal is to the floor with carnage galore. It'll wreck until nothing's left. No defenses enough to thwart the onslaught. You picked the wrong sport. Strong chords are needed to prevent you from being defeated, even if encored. I still got the power to pack and devour a hack. I don't need an hour to rap. I shower the slack with precise hits that disable their works of art. I heard them hard once the verses start. I purchase parts and put the package together with words that carve the half-ass. We're hard to better.
Can't sit here doing nothing. Waiting for something to happen. You know me, old son, I'm raring to go. Gotta get back in the harness, break the ice. Maybe there's something we can work on together.
We dispose of crews with some home truths and diss those who depict the sitch as just cones, brews and bitches. Compared to their pictures, painted as fake, and no, I cannot relate to their business.
Trem in the commission's a network of demolition experts that wreck shit in 10 or less words. So you best curb the tough talk, unless you wanna bust a jaw, sucker meals through a fucking straw.
Your neck snaps on the mat like a wrestling move gone bad, with back broken and smashed. Skeleton travelling through a gash in your abdomen, have an ambulance man dashing for buckets to chuck up what's in their stomachs.
Rock that, I'm rocking till my verse is through. Fuck that, I'm drinking till it hurts to spew. Come back, you thought I fell, well let's review. I burned 99% and I'm the worst in the crew.
LC,
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition.
The lyrical commission.
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition.
The lyrical commission.
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition.
The lyrical commission.
Be like a wrecking crew, doing demolition to competition. Doing demolition to competition. Doing demolition, doing demolition, doing demolition to competition. Doing demolition to competition.
Competition is no.
Fucking scared, aren't you?
Triple R.
Yeah, what up, peoples? This is Triple R 102.7 or rrr.org.au if you got us streaming on the web. Top Billin,
Yeah.
live in full effect. Roscoe, Rolls,
That's it, man.
and Trem.
We got the man Tremor in the house. If you just tuned in,
Still here.
we've been going
Yes.
over a lot of stuff, a lot of Trem's earlier work and just his career going back to the early days. If you missed it, we will be chucking this up on the internet for you to stream it online. So you just have to check out the Top Billin Facebook page, facebook.com/Top Billin Radio.
That's it.
Check it. I'm sure you'll be able to find it online if you can. And then we're going to have a second part of this interview we'll be doing next week with Trem, so make sure you tune in for the Term of His Natural Life album. We're going to break that down next
Special
week.
album release, launch party show.
Now,
Top Billin.
at the top there we had Renowned by Prowler featuring Trem.
Yeah.
And was that a Jace beat, that one?
Yeah, Jason Prowler made that one. Yeah.
Crazy.
Ill.
Crazy team, those two together, man.
Yeah,
Plenty
man.
of classics in the bag.
Unbeatable together, to be honest. You know, like getting back to what you was mentioning before about Prowler's, and how instrumental he was in what we were doing and whatnot. He was mad on not only those facets that I was getting at before, but also in teaching me a lot, along with Jace, on making beats and shit. So that was real cool, you know.
Word. And headphones sound like they're crapping out on us right about now, but we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can't hear it at home.
I hope so. Now the track we had before that was there we go, that sounds a lot better. before that, or after that, actually, we had the first. You were saying that's the first ever lyrical commission track from start to finish.
Yeah, man, that was on my man Strutter's album, which was crazy. Obviously, coming straight off the Authentic, which is it was kind of weird because I sort of, LC was just relatively new formed about when Strutter brought that album out, and he hit me up and said, look, we gotta get something on this album with the whole team. And I think majority of the album he sort of did along the lines with Lazy and a few Queensland heads, and he came back home and we brought it home on the last joint. And yeah, it was the first track that we did just as a team, and it was also the first track that I was sort of solely responsible for the beat, recording, mixing, etc. up in the Trematorium. So it's a mad learning experience and a lot of fun. That shit, I really liked that joint. We had a ball doing it, and yeah, I think it came out cool.
So, of course, the lyrical commission. You'd been working with Brad Strutt for a while by that stage, I think, and Bob Balance and Rob Nat came into the fold. Do you want to just take us back to how that sort of all came together, the LC?
No doubt. Well, first and foremost, Strutt and I go back. Well, in fact, all three of us go back a lot longer than LC, but Strutt and I go way back to sort of real early 90s. Not long after I met Frenzy and Item and the likes, I bumped into Strutter through Frenzy. He was working on some shit in Frenzy's studio at the time out in Camberwell, I think it was, or Williston or somewhere like that. And we sort of bumped heads, and I just loved the dude straight away, man. He was like, he had this aura around him that I hadn't seen on any kid at the time that was rapping, and we became real tight. We're super tight brothers, and on the mic and off the mic, of course. So Strutt and I were real tight from sort of 91, 92. Bumped into the old Formulators, as Rob Nat and Bobby Balance were renowned back then in the early 90s. We bumped heads, which Item again was really instrumental in linking us, because he'd sort of met those guys out this side of town somewhere. We were sort of coming from southeast side, they were from the north side, and he sort of brought them along to a New Year's Eve party one time, and they were characters with endless skill, man, endless skill. So it was kind of crazy, because we were sort of like this weird team from All City. I'd come from G-Town, Strutter was from southeast sort of area at the time, and those two were north. And so we sort of had all corners of the map covered, and just got on like a house on fire. We sort of, but we all sort of looked at shit in the same light, and it was pretty much, it was a wrap on coming together as a team,
Damn.
So what was the plan at that stage? Because we had
get drunk, fuck bitches, and rap.
Hell yeah.
And what did you
collect doll payments?
Nah, man.
Nah.
Always been a worker.
Yeah.
Can't speak for the other three.
So well, look,
You just did,
then
man.
we take it back. You had the 12s. Strutter had the LP that went pretty well at the time. I know that was a big deal. It was, I think, maybe the second record that Obese had put out at the time.
Yep.
Got the the Wax release, so that was going strong.
Yeah.
Then the LC track pops up on it, and I can remember myself at the time. Just there was a lot of pressure. It was just like, right, there's got to be a lyrical commission album. Do you know what I mean? Like you guys were doing a few shows. With I know Boney and Stoney were doing their thing, and so at that point, when Strutter's album comes out, was that the next thing? It was like, we got to do an album.
Yeah, Strutter's album sort of came out. I can't actually remember the exact date of it.
I think it was maybe 01.
01, yeah. So around that time, we'd sort of done some other shit on the Culture of Kings release. And then we formulated for that track, and then pretty much next in line was definitely to get some shit down as a crew. It was like we were really gone headstrong in doing shows together as well. So from the show, we were kind of like getting off at all these shows at the time, and we didn't really have no tracks to do. So we were like just throwing together verses and whatnot, trying to make new songs over jacked instrumentals and shit, and that was cool. That was cool when we were out having fun, but all of a sudden you know, people started offering you money for shows as well. So, you know, to keep it a little more correct, we sort of came to the conclusion that we need to get something a little more solid down. So hence, all right, let's get together, chat about the prospect of a release, and start the build from there.
And just before the album comes together, Rob Nat sort of leaves the group. Was there anything behind that, or he was just moving on?
Nah, he was very well. I mean, we'd been doing a sort of the live show circuit for a couple of years back then. You know, I'd say probably between mid 90s to late 90s. You know, LC was sort of basically formed around the mid 90s. Probably wasn't officially launched as Lyrical Commission until the late 90s. And then now we're talking into the early 2000s, obviously. So by then, you know, everyone was we were still really tight, but Robbie was sort of like moving on in another direction, not musically, but just in life. And he'd sort of had his first kid on the way and whatnot. And I was sort of under the impression that, you know, to put this album out, we had to sort of set some serious guidelines from a timing perspective, which made it really hard for everyone, and also from a skill level perspective, because I felt personally at the time the scene itself had started to take off pretty big, you know, early 2000s, but there was no level of keeping it in check from a who could rap and who couldn't rap perspective. And part of the thing is Lyrical Commission, when we came together, the name tells it all, you know what I mean? We were a commission governing lyrics, man, and we felt that we were the best at it at the time in this country, no doubt. And what happened was that it was getting out of hand. You know, anyone and everyone was picking up a mic and becoming a rapper. And that was like not on as far as we were concerned. So what I wanted to ensure with our album was that it was above what anyone else was doing, and it was of a world-class ability. To do that, you had to be on your A game every time. You know, we weren't just settling for second on what we wrote or the beats or the time that we got it done or our studio time, all that shit. You know, it had to become semi-pro to nail it. And you know, God love him, Robbie was, you know, head first into his first kid, and I'm just starting to realise, you know, how big that is myself right about now. So, you know, it was no hard feelings. It was a matter of go do what you got to do, and you know, he's always LC fam, and if you know, next release, whatever, if it comes back, if we all connect on that level again, then.
Well, he's got uncut.com, man, which is
well, Robbie and I formed Uncut Recordings together as well. So that sort of gets lost in the maze of it a little bit. That without Rob's initial input, the label probably wouldn't have jumped off. So, you know, I got a lot of love for Rob, and he's getting it in on the website now, which is dope, and doing what he does best, man. He's always been a mad writer, you know, from a journalistic perspective. And
now we're going to get into a track off the Classic Stages Set as our album in a moment. You handled pretty much the bulk of the production. I think you had a bit of help in there, a few credits to other people, but
Robbie came in on some co-production on 2 joints, and that was from when we first set our studio up, it was uncut, you know, and it was me and Rob. We built the studio together, and we did a lot of beats together in those early days, and Sex Fiend and Press Release were 2 tracks that we made together pretty much. So
how was the process? First time having the crew, all you dudes, and you at the helm. What are your main memories of getting that project?
It was a crazy time, man. It was. What's weird is that one thing I didn't do with my solo album, but I did with the LC album, is I put a date on it, in particular that one. So we had a date that I wanted it all finished by, or we wanted it all finished by. So it was flat out trying to complete that shit in time, especially back then, you know, when, you know, everything was limited. But it was cool. So it was just a crazy time. It's a bit of a weird memory, man. I probably haven't sat down and reflected on the time making the album like I should, because I feel like when we did that album, we really created, you know, we really started something big, not only for us, but, you know, without blowing our own horn, there's no doubt that LC spawned this shit for a lot of motherfuckers, man.
Yeah, man.
And that album in particular.
And
I believe it. I do.
Oh man, look, to be honest, like I know you hear it from a lot of heads, but you know, a lot of the MCs who come through here, the younger dudes, you know, it's either or both Lone Wolf and Stage's set. It's like the first thing that comes out when we start asking them about influence and stuff. So, obviously a big record in terms of Australian hip hop and the influence it's had.
Yeah, it's dope, man. It's a real honour, and probably, it's a privilege that you probably don't get to appreciate enough, that you've actually you set a lot of people's what they want to do, and you almost sort of spark that in them, you know what I mean? And that's why it's part of the reason as well why I had such we had such strict guidelines of how we wanted to go about it, and keep it world class as well, because that was the other problem at the time. People, the shit had grown here to a capacity where people just thought that they wanted to be like their next door neighbour, in the quality of what they were doing. But I was like, man, if we really want to be serious about this shit, we got to come at it on a world class level, lyrically. All right, I don't have $1 million studio, but if we could fucking rock it with anyone on the mic, then that's what it comes down to, and it still does to this day.
One last question before we get into the track off Stage's set is, I'm pretty sure it was Bias who said it to me. I'm not sure. I don't think it was Brad, but Bias, I'm pretty sure he said he regretted doing the Chopper track. Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about that now down the track?
I didn't rap on it, man.
No, did you do the beat?
Yeah. I don't regret that.
You don't regret doing it?
No.
How was the experience of putting that all together? Was that a pretty crazy time?
That was the song for the movie, is what I worked on. That was crazy, man. I was a mad Chopper fan. Books. I've been reading his books since '88, man. You know what I mean? So, and that's for real. I love my crime books, particularly Australian crime. And I was a mega Chopper fan. So to have him come into my house and record with Stan the Man Long and Edie's, kickboxing champion of the '90s, in the red Bentley, that was ill, man. I had a great day, man.
Yeah.
I don't regret none of that shit. No.
I'm not saying you do. Just as a segue.
Yeah. That was good fun, man. That was real good fun. I saw it for what it was, and that was it. I didn't rap on it. I never intended to rap on it, but I was happy to supply the beat.
But now we're actually going to go into a track off Stage's set. Rap styles beyond average.
Yeah.
What do you got to say about this?
Man,
joint?
I love this shit. I think it's one of the most slept on tracks on the first album. One, no one had flipped those drums, those quadruple time fast hats, and lyrically, it's really up there for some of these drums were even older than 2001 or whenever it was recorded. So
and check it out. Got this guy J Red on the cut who
Red rips it as well, man.
He just rips the shit out of it. Top Billin.
Word up.
Stay tuned. Triple R.
Beyond average, rap step down, beyond average, rap step down, beyond average, beyond average.
I don't claim to know all, but I take it slow like pain to make vocals, so they remain a close call or give post-traumatic shock. Don't complain, get yourself up. Fucking alarm clock, I'm here to wake ya. Cause out of us you be the faker. Your girl says she wants me out of you and see you later. If this is graph, I'd be top to bottom whole cars, and you'd be a toy's first tag on his folder. You sucker, if this was done dancing, you'd be a disco ducker, and I'd be a Maori playing rugby doing the haka. So don't start on me, MC. I'm saying your ability to test me's small like breast size 10B. I'm the supreme, you're just a piece of margarita. I'm the hard defeater, you're just an easy ass to beat around the ring. I win the grand final, you're the bottom of the ladder, UPCD, and I can double vinyl
operative, dodging the obstacles, watch the spin, fly across the room like a rocket ship. I got the gift to unwrap you by the layer I capture. You pay more attention to the way I phrase a chapter and blaze it after. My comrades are masters, I cast a fly, hoping to pry into your bastards. Frames the thought process, tell you to go get on a moped, I throw stress. You should really know best not to fuck with me, performance is enormous. When under pressure it's a luxury, not a thesaurus. I got agility, true test of ability. Prove your worth in public and see if the people love it or understand where you're coming from. Taking so fucking long, had to give up the bong and struggle on. I can stick it to you with lyrics, never passive when serving passages. I can hurt these amateurs, that's
and I mix it with the best. They're more than impressed with what I got to offer, begging me to hit them off with tips on how to rock a proper. I watched a lot of suckers come and go, jump up at shows in front of Zoe. They're long haulers but their cover's blown. The very minute they start spitting, shark victims half-bitten, carcasses washed up, me losing hard in it. Your ass kissing to get a start on his path's my pet hate. Let's skate for too long, now it's checkmate. I pay correct weight for dues plus a tip, leaving these up and coming kids who think they're running shit. Cause mummies rich with busted lips, punctured lungs and ruptured ribs. Half these gig promoters must be on the take like corrupted pigs. I'm over these homos, showcasing overseas acts and copping knockbacks from shows cause of chauvinistic raps. Is this hip hop or the fag scene? You want an MC or drag queen, a pioneer or has been?
Rap step out, beyond average. Rap step out, rap step, rap step, beyond that average. Rap step out, rap step down, beyond average. Rap step, beyond that average. Rap step,
Yeah, LC, it's Q Unique, Uncle Howie's nephew with the LC. About to stab y'all motherfuckers in the brain right now. Clean my knife. We down under, ain't no fucking kangaroos. This the real shit. Don't come with that tourist shit. Fucking faggots. Listen. Q sick with the twisted murderous metaphor. And I skip from your sister cause your girl's a better whore. One shot from the red dot that marked the spot. And the gun's cocked for a second pop to stop your heart. What the fuck you looking at, faggot? This Brooklyn cat with a hook in the track will turn you into a rap addict. Them crack habits kept niggas paid in the ghetto. Think that's savage until your ass is sprayed with the metal. Bitch, I'm rock steady with my cock ready to pop Betty. It's not every Freddy Yock that could drop heavy. To the streets, the international scumbag is Q Unique. Hit the tracks when the gun jams. Uncle Howie's nephew smuggling the uncut. Run from the pound protect cause I'm gunning y'all dumb fucks. Let the game prevail, I'm scooping the crazy turnout with Megan Gale, shooting group babies and I'm out, bitch.
Malicious type beats. When I put my techniques, fingers down your throat, you try reach. With nothing to chuck till you're drinking. What I spit in this ashtray with the butts mixed in. Terror to some with loop spine tingling. My pleasure with drums is liable to injure him. So live in rigor mortis and listen to the mourners. But stick to love songs with bad singing in the chorus. You're a gorgeous comedian. I pour this with poisons like pyrethium. In a gourd for poor performers. And take you on tour with the Lord of Death's forces. Bought with the orchestra of the roarers. Like halal meat, you've been properly slaughtered. Balanced with attack and music. Staining the pavement like old car battery acid.
It's a eulogy, murderous. You will be a victim of metaphors. Mega bomb, a civil emergency. Get it on surgery. Sick and looking terminal. Burgundy's bleeding. Your spirit's going vertical. It's a eulogy, murderous. You will be a victim of metaphors. Mega bomb, a civil emergency. Get it on surgery. Sick and looking terminal. Burgundy's bleeding. Your spirit's going vertical.
Trem's raw with the pen scroll, heat the streets ahead. I walk the beat with a senior chief of police's head. On a sharp stick, ass kicking rap lords. Commission dust off competition like a blackboard. Trackboard and quarterback like flashcords. Smacking your back door and fag rappers acting important. You ain't shit, plain and simple, we own this. Thrown for the scripts that I split microphones with. And dick that I bone with. Rip chicks and roam with. Misfits that's prone to sink piss and throw fists. Opponents bitch but don't stand a chance against Trem on the attack when you're only playing a hand's defense. Your man offense, I'm playing the field. I won't stop until I cop all accolades and claim the shield. I came to steal, rain and wield, swords drawn. Leaving these poor form rappers in more
Brand's ill with the skills like dead to coroners. Killing for thrills in this field like Maori warriors or Saudi foreigners. Getting bomb blasted caskets filled with bloody bodies of infidel bastards. Spit like hell's harshest spot. I'm well past the god, the game locked. Hip hop is now mastered. A sound marksman, letting off at all of this. Evil euphoria, the metaphors are glorious. Like a martyr's death, exploiting the paradise. Loathing your parasites, quotes that can paralyze. Potent formaldehyde, this Melbourne night gets you open to the fouling life. A powered by pure flesh, it's a power strike. Anarchy's fallen, sanity stormed in, just jump, gravity's calling. Package of poison, it's vanity's torment. LC and Q, we be a savage and storm.
It's a eulogy, murderous. You will be a victim of metaphors. Mega bomb, a civil emergency. Get it on surgery. Sick and looking terminal. Burgundy's bleeding. Your spirit's going vertical. It's a eulogy, a civil emergency. Get it on surgery. Sick and looking terminal. Burgundy's bleeding. Your spirit's going vertical.
Murderous metaphors, let the lips of death kiss you. LC, kill your name. Show them what real rap is. Murderous metaphors, murderous material. LC, kill your name. Show them what real rap is.
Another deadly episode.
Kill your name. Kill your name. Kill your name. Show them what real rap is. LC.
Hey kids!
Triple R.
Top Billin, Triple R, 102.7, Trem, Roscoe, and Rolls. Yeah.
Whew, man, we covered a lot of territory in this interview, my man. You're still hanging in there.
Still standing.
You
Yeah,
with
man.
us?
Yeah, I got time.
That's it. Now, what do we have there? We had that was Murderous Metaphors off the EP that dropped in about 2005.
Yeah. Damn, man, that seems like a long
That
time
does,
ago.
doesn't
now,
it?
yeah.
Q Unique on the
Q
track.
Unique from
Yeah.
Arsonist, man.
And
Crazy.
I loved that collab when it came out.
Yeah.
Big Arsonist fan.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away. Like some Australian dudes, lyrical commission, working with an arsonist.
It was a spin out to have the arsonist in my house as
Yeah.
well, man. That was like, yeah, that was
ASF,
mad,
man.
humbling, mad. You know, super honoured to have that dude in the crib.
How'd that
You know,
come
picking
about,
the
man?
beat.
How did you like lure him to your house?
Actually, Jay,
Breadcrumbs?
no homo.
Yeah.
Jay Red actually let us know that they were in town for a couple of extra days because he came out with the Rocksteady crew at the time. And he said, because he knew that I was an Arsonist fan, whatnot, and we'd been weighing up potential overseas collabs, especially because we'd done the self-titled one prior. And he said, oh, look, Q's in town with the Rocksteady crew, rah, rah, rah. They're playing at the they were coming to the Laundry where he was DJing at the time. He's back there too, I believe. And basically I was like, oh, cool. Like, you know, maybe we should come down and have a chat, see if he's maybe down to get on something. And Strutter and I went down there that night and caught up with Q and had a little chat. And yeah, he was super cool. And he was like, look, man, I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. Drop us the album and I'll give it a listen. And you know, because he was there for a couple of days or whatever. And I said, I know it's a bit of a whirlwind trip, but if something's cool, I'm feeling it, and something's cool on the album beat-wise, then yeah, we can get some shit popping. So we left it with him for 24, 48 hours, and he got back to us and said, let's do it. And yeah, we just basically, you know, I just set up, because that was actually the first track recorded for Murderous Metaphors.
Yeah.
So that track was actually not long after Stage's set, maybe like a year later, I think. So that was the first track off the new EP. And he came over and I was still setting up the studio, but I was just like, just get some makeshift booth up and get Q in there. And I just threw up 6 beats to him, and that was the one I envisioned from the start. And he picked it, and he started, you know, we wrote later, but he just started writing frantically straight away. And we chilled for the day, wrote his verse, jumped in the booth, smashed it out, 4 takes, and, you know, rest is history pretty much.
Word, Murderous Metaphors. The track, what did we have before Murderous Metaphors? We played Rap Styles Beyond Average off the
Beyond Average, yeah,
the Status Set album with DJ J Red, absolutely tearing the vinyl to shreds on that.
Cut.
Yeah,
Big ups,
love it.
Big ups to J Red if you're listening, bro. Now, after Murderous Metaphors, really, you guys jumped forward. The next LC project was the Legend Official joint, Brad Strutt. That was a couple of years later. Over that period, it sort of seemed like, you know, and particularly up until now, that Bob Balance sort of left the fold from the crew, so to speak, for a bit. Like, I know he was on Brad's album.
Yeah.
But what was happening with Bob? Because I know there was a I think it was Inside Bob's Head. Was that going to be the name of the project or something?
Yeah, that's true. That was an old release. But just quickly to recap, after Murderous, we did some mad extensive touring. So, we toured Murderous Metaphors like we hadn't toured anything before. And, we were going to places we hadn't been and doing monstrous shows. And it was really cool because that was probably about the time that the real big hip-hop shows started to kick off, Festivals were starting to take local rappers on board and whatnot. So it was a pretty crazy time. And we did that for a couple of years before we bothered to really think about where we were going to head next. And, the whole while Strata, was pretty much, we both lived in Carnegie at the time, and he was pretty much rocking over to the Trematorium on a weekendly basis and getting blunted and drinking up, and we were just recording. So just steadily recording, not for anything in particular, but basically recording a Strut album without really knowing it, And in that time, sort of Bob had he was doing his own thing, and he was sort of, this Inside Bob's Head project was something that we always wanted to do. We maybe laced a couple of tracks for it initially. Bob wasn't really feeling it, and we sort of just put a hold on it, and I just went headfirst into Legend Official after that, or the double. I went into Legendary Mixtape, which is an album in itself, and the Legend Official album's pretty much head first, they're Brad Strutt albums, but they were equally my babies, man. I love them shits, man. I put a lot of time. I put as much time into them as I did into my own album, pretty much, over the course of that couple of years while we were making them.
Hell yeah, man. They were quality joints, man.
Word. Cheers, man. Cheers.
And now, at that point, it wasn't long after the Brad Strutt album came on the scene, he jetted over to the UK.
Yeah, about the time that Legend Official came out, Strutt bounced to the UK for a couple of years. So he was he was out the picture over there, doing a little promo overseas, trying to push it and playing some good live shows overseas like Camp, and he did a few London shows and whatnot, and I was sort of left back in Australia to continue to push Legend Official, which he came back for the tour. And then I was sort of like burnt the fuck out. I just put out the four albums in 5 years, and I was a bit sort of I was a bit done for a minute actually. So it was a good time to just kick back and reflect on some shit. And
man, what we're probably going to do is we'll wrap up this section of the interview right about there, I reckon, because that brings us up to the new joint, and we want to have a good chat about that.
I was going to say, when you were sitting back reflecting after those albums, those stressful years of just putting all that stuff out, was there ever a chance that you were just going to be like, no Trem album, I'm done?
Nah.
Never a chance?
Nah, never a chance.
All right, wrap up the interview.
Let's move on.
Never a chance.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got a lot more to talk about with Trem. So make sure you tune in next week for the second part of this interview.
Yeah, the second part's going to air next week, the 7th.
That's it.
And make sure on the 7th, which is the release date, you jump out and you cop it. It's going to be available from the indie stores strictly. So make sure you get along and support those indies, because they've put in a lot of work supporting and building and giving us an avenue to sell our shit when no one else gave a fuck. So please make sure you get into the indies. If you can't deal with the online caper at uncutrecordings.com or wherever else, just go into your indie. There's one in every major city. So please get along and support it. And if you're in Melbourne on the 7th, we're having a listening party down at the Laundry. Nice. So make sure you get it. We're going to screen the film clip Animal Kingdom, which is the new clip off the album. So make sure you get along there. Check that. I'll be there signing your CDs. You can cop it from me or whatever, and come and have a beer and say good day anyway.
Word, that sounds ill, man. All right, well, we're going to go into a joint off the Brad Strutt album, Legend Official, with Bounty Hunters. This is the last LC track, I think, it surfaced.
This is one of my favourite songs. This is my favourite LC song, I reckon.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Dope. Well, picked a good one then, didn't I?
Yeah, man.
But if you missed the earlier part of this interview as well, we will chuck it up online, facebook.com/Top Billin Radio, if you want to check this out. So stay tuned. Top Billin.
7th, get in stores.
Bounty Hunters, Legal Commission, big ups to Trem.
A place to soothe sorrow. Break the news, hater, dues, bruised and borrow. New shoes, Apollo, creep, bleed and follow. Deep-seated hollow, geeks need to swallow. Each heat the motto, get yours. I drive in the sun for fun, 35 degrees, screaming, yes, sure. I'm a feral people, you're a pet chihuahua. In effect, you're getting stepped on and I bet you wanna. A respected partner, spreading the vengeance, father. And my henchmen harbour an appetite for letting tension start up. I rep the hard luck stories for suburbanites. Ignore me at your peril just to make sure that you heard us right. We heard the mic, leave it wishing it was metal scrap. Put it in a player, roll a number and just settle back. You men will crack quite openly, it's public shame. Vocally the one to blame, bred up in you locals' brains. I make it international, around me they be spitting trash. A bounty on these heads for being bred and never hitting tracks. This isn't lax, to be unrelentless. I'm not the one to vex with, I tie you down and bomb your storm with textures. I'm never on the guest list, I sport a clenched fist and no defenses. Strong enough to ever fucking end this. I blend bits with the sound of tremors. My men's clique got some rowdy members, bounty collectors. The bounty hunters, the down and unders. The sound of thunders, lightning cracks, the ground shudders. The bounty hunters, the down and unders. The sound of thunders, fight nags stacked in council dumpsters. The bounty hunters, we keep their head low so we can get dough. Cranium taken from the next load. The bounty hunters, we count numbers. The sound of thunder is now among us. The bounty hunters.
I'm some assassin shit, from in the shadows hidden, deliver a massive hit before I vanish split. Doesn't have to be glitzy, kill 'em efficient. Then like a gypsy, hit up a different city. On business trips, left them a little bit dizzy like pistol whips. The only fingerprints were on studio sessions. Future investments, quick like disarming live nuclear weapons. Plan missions, and I'd be missing if kids didn't back then at midnight. For the cost of equipment, breaking off the tooth of the adder. In the Rubik like ladder, a musical fool's chatter. The roof of your cap was shot skywards. It is rocket science, popping the sockets off your iris. And while you're blinded, the voice is clear. Try to stare, where is it, here or there? I hold you by the hair while strike decapitate you from ear to ear. And Trem dispose of the body like mass graves in Kampuchea, ripping up your amphitheater before I slip back into the night atmosphere.
The bounty hunters, the down and unders. The sound of thunders, lightning cracks, the ground shudders. The bounty hunters, the down and unders. The sound of thunders, fight nags stacked in council dumpsters. The bounty hunters, we keep their head low so we can get dough. Cranium taken from the next load. The bounty hunters, we count numbers. The sound of thunder is now among us. The bounty hunters.
I got these marks hard set in my side scopes. Yet another dumb fuck groping the mic minus the tight quotes. Bite is choke and you turn them purple. You should've learned how to crawl with that draw before your word hurdle. This sort of text is best left for the experts. The bars are heavy and the 10th set of reps hurts. My net worth is well more than you gross, and your only reps are when you talk up in the forums you're posting. But this is real life, steel knife, jagged edge, wrapped with some ragged dregs, snack seller, maggot egg, gat strap, inhabit head, rack, felon, thug, swords, violent by designers, living, dying for these blood sports. A tug of war that's cutthroat, and lawless as drug lords, and smug coke and dust over borders and state lines. Take minds at any cost, a state of mind. Trem Taylor rhymes that tear like perforated lines. I cater minds to the haters and the jaded kinds, caught up in the glory days of 86 to 89, or 91 to Le Mans pouring dangerous prime. Before the majors came and raped us in this place and time. We're here to claim back the shit like it was never lost, and terrorize your block without the anthrax in a letterbox. I'm penning plots to eradicate you worthless pests, and murder sets with words fluent as a cursive text.
The bounty hunters, the down and unders. The sound of thunders, lightning cracks, the ground shudders. The bounty hunters, the down and unders. The sound of thunders, fight nags stacked in council dumpsters. The bounty hunters, we keep their head low so we can get dough. Cranium taken from the next load. The bounty hunters, we count numbers. The sound of thunder is now among us. The bounty hunters.
War Child Planetary, OS, Brad Strutt, Lyrical Commission, yo,
LC, OS.
Money, power, respect, that's the key to life. That's what keeps the world turning while you sleep at night. Have you terrified as hell like you just seen Christ? Mummified on the crucifix, don't blink twice. Guaranteeing you ain't never heard no shit like this. Spit from east to west hemisphere, you should list. War Child makes you MCs endangered species. On the top of the food chain, rain and beastly. Heavyweight street disciple, y'all couldn't teach me. Y'all wanna box with God, but y'all couldn't reach me. I will put you in the earth where the dead deceased be. Let the worms eat your soul, you ain't resting peacefully. For y'all niggas making moves, I suggest you brief me. Cause if nothing fly by me, you ain't too shifty. Put my life in this game and the pay is costly. Gangsta Global, 215 to RC.
Bloodshot paralysis, branding savageness. Suspect packages plus damn, I'm hazardous. Not fam to feminists, hungrier than all of this. One land for all of us, welcome to the slaughter. It's spreading the west, we plan to throw breath lace with a flame of flatten your crib. Back to your rest place. Simple rappers hacked to the leg, they just a dead waste. Embedded in your memory bank, now you a head case. Called and collected, mold and inspected. I got the gold and protected like border fences. My honors, more than refreshment. This water's blessed with the hotter sort of the fresh shit. It's raw, so get this, you gotta understand it. Rep with grip the planet. We down to lift you out of this mess to live the standard. Town, city, country or state, we fit the vanity. Inferno lighting up all our names, burning your pageant.
I'm magnificent, I spit belligerent rap. My mind is a time machine, I run a militant track. If I was you, man, I wouldn't even come with your ass. I must be celibate, niggas, I ain't fucking with that. I'm a disaster that strike when they pass a device. I take time to design your new casket on ice. Planetario, stereo sound, my scenario. Extraordinary flow, welcome to the Terror Dome. When I'm an SO, it's like Boston Public. It's a far out flow, either you lost or love it. Roll a tarp out though, you ain't in charge of nothing. Out of space, man, 16 bars, that's nothing. I ride cars up the Mars like stars I'm frontin'. I can sneak in jars full of stars, I'm hustling. It's breaking news when you shaking your shoes. Niggas look like Fred Astaire because we great with the tools, nigga.
Uncut, be pure as raw pace before lace. Storming these halls with face caked in war paint. We in this till death do us for rich or poor. Murderous metaphor, minotaurs pitted in war. Up against monopoly, whose policies horribly custom honor a product to shut equality. Another flop in the clearance bin. Go hit the shops for a toughness, color pop so he's spearminting. Queer as sin, most these rappers are bitch made. I wish that that'll take to their own wrist with a switchblade. Sparing this already oversaturated market and more half-assed cloned acts, raring to be part of it all. Another year, another 10 names came and went. The next main event's remittance checks ain't paying the rent. Your vain attempts at this game's lame and short-lived. Melbourne to Illadelph's mainstays are raw shit.
Philly boom bap shit, nigga.
Show me black clowns how it go down now.
Worldwide, universal, holla.
Haha. Welcome to Terror Dome, motherfucker.
Discussion of fortunate types. Yeah. Dead in your faces. So West, LC, Red Stripe.
Cold steel.
Yeah. Cold steel. Cold steel. Say cold steel. Say cold steel. Say cold steel. Say cold steel. Yeah. I told you every time I spit I'm on some plastic shit. Ronnie Cash and J Dilla on some massive shit. While y'all niggas still breaking on that plastic shit. We the like concocted bomb straight blasting shit. Oh, with my red rain changing lane passing shit. Tick tock the lights got 'em flashing acid tick. Call my wolves niggas quick to have their asses pick. You know it's on when we pull up in them classic whips. Jumping out the long rappers with expansion clips. Now you silly niggas really know it's time to dip. Treat you like a broad, make you niggas dance and strip. Rappers need a style of hit and give you fashion tips. I'm in Belize having breakfast with the baddest bitch. Go ahead, throw your band and blow the lab and split. Ronnie Cat, bitch, ain't no get no louder than this. Go watch, baby, on your fucking little guest list, just it. Cold steel. Say, come on, say cold steel. Say cold steel. Everybody say cold steel. Say cold steel. Say cold steel. Say cold steel.
Yo, cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, bloods and crips, pushers and diamond imposters, slugs with clips, contribute to the bugs and chips, thugs and pimps, men moving their jugs for chips, they dug a ditch for little Leroy, he was only 3, cannons blowing the stuffed animals on the tree, froze from a straight bullet, going bad, no name, when the whistle through the air prepared for aim, what can make a man cock and squeeze, on the block with ease, pop through trees, knock the lead, somebody shot and can't possibly breathe, possibly thief, then reach in your pockets and keys, probably be between robbery gangs, adult fiends full of coke trees to get out through the vein. You got hit man that's hard to slay. Individuals, now they live below the clouds is plain. Internet showers that blink for moving vehicles. You can read a few new leads into about the people who was killed. I'm chill when they play a reporter, cause someone died the same way yesterday and before. You can hide, fade away, be left the brain ignored. It's cold, say cold still. Everybody say cold still. Come on, say cold still. 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 Yeah, Detroit. Say cold still. Yeah, Detroit, yo. Yeah.
Yo, Gil, where you at?
Melbourne Festival and Triple R present A Night with Aesop Rock and Kimya Dawson. From wildly different backgrounds but linked by a richness of wordplay and anecdote, this is a new and unexpected collaboration of two of the brightest minds currently working in indie music. Part intimate folk jam, part art hip-hop party at the Forum Theatre Saturday, October 15. Tickets on sale now through Ticketmaster and melbournefestival.com.au. Melbourne Festival, Triple R sponsors.
What kind of rat bastard psychotic would play that song right now at this moment?
Triple R.
Damn bullets, you jerks! You need to hit their head! I told you! See? Like this!
Yeah, I wanted 2.7. Top Billin, we're still kicking. It's about 8 minutes to midnight. Massive shout out to Trem from the Lyrical Commission for rolling through, doing that interview with us. If you only caught part of it, good news. We're gonna throw that up on the web. If you listen to the show, you probably know where to find most of the stuff we put up. Facebook.com/TopBillinRadio. That's probably the best place to find it. But the other thing is, that's only part one of the interview. I know we went on for a long time with that one, but we wanted to make sure we covered all our bases. So Trem's got the new album coming out for the term of his natural life, and that's what part two is going to be all about. And now that's going to be next week, so you got to make sure that you tune in for part two of the interview. We've got about another hour or so with Trem next week on the new album. Just basically the whole process behind it, making the album. And there's a few other things happening as well. Before I forget, got to mention tomorrow night down at the Corner Hotel in Richmond, self-titled, doing a show down there. Brad Strutt, another member of Lyrical Commission, is going to be doing his thing with the support slot. Now, unfortunately, we were hyping up the gig for one main reason, that being Action Bronson was going to be doing his first Australian set. First set in Australia down there, but unfortunately he has cancelled due to family issues or dramas or something like that, he said on Twitter. So no Action Bronson tomorrow night if you are hoping to see him, but it's still going to be an ill night. I think they got, if my memory's right, they got Bigfoot and Taunts and a few people like that jumping up to fill the slot that's been left vacated by Bronson. So head down to the Corner Hotel tomorrow night. Could be pretty messy down that part of town with the grand final happening tomorrow. So, and we'll have more details. We'll probably put them up on the net. There is a listening party happening for the Trem album, which will be next Friday from about 6 in the evening, I think roughly from about 6 to 9. Trem's going to be down, his whole crew, I suppose, going to be down at the laundry. I know that the Full Clip guys have been working hard on getting the video done for Animal Kingdom, which is the new single that's going to be released off the Trem album next Friday. So that's going to be the first screening of that, I think, before they put it up on the net. I'm not sure exactly the venue at this stage, but if you follow us on Facebook or on Twitter at Top Billin Radio, we'll definitely post up the details, or you can check out Trem's Twitter, probably the best place to find the info for that, which is Trem1LC. That's the number 1, Trem1LC. So I'm sure if you're keen on getting, also you buy the album, that's a release date of the Trem album is next Friday, so he's going to have copies at the listening party, and you can get it signed by him, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be an ill night. I wish I could tell you where it is, but right about now, location escapes me, but we'll definitely put that info up on the web as we get it during the week. But yeah, that's pretty much us for the evening. Big ups to Mr. Lee Rawls for helping out with the interview. We're going to leave you in the capable hands of the City Risers. Should back announce those tracks that we had just before. That last one, that was banging. That was actually a live track. If you've been listening to the show, you would have heard the Alzai Almatic project, which came out a few months back. That was produced by a Detroit band, like funk and soul band, called Will Sessions, and they've just put out a free live EP. I just saw it today, just on a blog. It's called Real Sessions. So if you liked Elmatic and you like the sound of that, that's one of my favourite Detroit tracks from the last 10 years. Fat Cat and Alzai. Cold Steel. It was originally a Dilla track, but Will Sessions have redone it there, the live. So a whole heap of Detroit cats jumping up on that Real Sessions EP that's just dropped. Now I just got a message from Tremor. He's saying the listening party is at Laundry next Friday from 6 to 9. So got to make sure you get down there next Friday, because this is a big one, this album. We've been lucky this year. We had the Bias album a few months back, which was a big one in itself, and of course a lot of people have been waiting a long time for this Trem record. So yeah, that's all from us. If you want to hit the playlist, check out all the tunes for tonight, go to the RRR website, rrr.org.au/topbillin, and of course jump on the Facebook page, facebook.com/topbillinradio. That's me out. I got an early start tomorrow. Gonna get myself down the grand final, try and get myself a seat in the members, watch my catters do their thing. So if you're watching the granny tomorrow, have a good day, and try and stay out of the rain. I think it's going to be a wet one, forecast and hail tomorrow, so that'll be fun. But that's it, we out. We're going to leave you with the last single that dropped off the Evidence album. Still yet to pick it up, but we got the single, DJ Premier produced You, off the Cats and Dogs. It sounds like this. Peace.
Let's go back in the music. As always, a lot of new music for this evening.
Yo, that was
City Rise is up next. Martinell in the house.
Yeah, I don't need love.
Very dope. Yeah, Ev is definitely like becoming one of my favorite MCs out there right now. Word up. Shout out to Ev, the whole Dilated crew. Let's get back into some music.
And I'm on the Evidence project too. But we did a banger, so it's gonna be coming through.
Yeah. Yo, microphone check 1, 2. Yo, who's the one that's been running the race? Me. Who's the one that's been running in place? You. And who's the one you tried to find so tough, but the whole time was sitting right in front of your face? Yes. I'm on another level, I mean another label. Players don't die, we try luck at other tables. And when I lose, I learn I'm still winning major. I jump forward then back and through the missing stages. A perfect day to make a perfect entrance. A perfect sentence I can't perfect, but I just keep pushing pencils. No fake trace stencils, and do it all by hand so they have respect. Shit. I know the feeling when you're dealing with accomplishments, wishing they would diss you instead of give you compliments. That's what made you who you are, not what you became. Part of being a star is getting burnt in flames. Kinda ill, the mind's a trip. 2020 when we broke, but blind when rich. I just see it as a sign, but kept rhyming instead, and keep lighting up these pads like Simon says. What? Who's the one that's been running the race? Me. Who's the one that's been running in place? You. And who's the one you tried to find so tough, but the whole time was sitting right in front of your face?
Now I'm set, ready to jet. Now I'm set, ready to jet. Now I'm set, ready to jet.
One's a lonely number, two's the first loser. So how the fuck can you win? Become a drug abuser. Slapping these beats, I'm no snoozer. 6 million ways to die, go ahead and choose one.